Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov Chess Channel, and welcome to a truly amazing game from the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam that's going on now in Las Vegas. We're now already in the semifinal stage of this super event, and we are following now an amazing and spectacular game played by Fabiano Caruana against Hans Moke and Niemann. And Hans is, of course, a very interesting person in the chess community. You can like him, you can hate him, who cares? But I really love to see Hans playing in these events because whatever you say about Hans, we have to, I think, admit that Hans is simply a great player. He knows how to complicate things in the middle game stage. He's playing many times ultra aggressive, sharp tactical chess. Sometimes it's working for him, sometimes it's not, but his games are always attractive to follow. His opening repertoire in common chess, I think it's also very interesting. He gets many beautiful tactical positions. He's a player like maybe not the same, but like Daniil Dubov. You know, when we follow Daniil Dubov's games, uh, they're always with some kind of a beautiful element. That's, I think, also present in Hans Moke Niemann's games. He is, of course, sort of a person that divides a little bit the chess community, but he deserves, of course, his place here in this beautiful freestyle chess event for sure. So let's see now what happened. The game that we're following now is actually the second tiebreak game. The first two normal games they played ended with a draw. The first tiebreak game where Hans Moke Niemann played with the white pieces against Fabiano Caruana ended also with a draw. So it means now for whoever wins now this game will move up then into the finals of the freestyle chess in Las Vegas. So let's see now what happened with white here. Fabi in this particular setup of official random chess opened with the move e4. Hans' response was g6, playing in sort of a fianchetto style. We know this many times that players, especially when they're playing with the white pieces, are opening the position with the pawn that's usually supported by the rook or usually supported by the queen. So b4, c4, and f4, I think, are normal sort of opening moves here in this particular position for white. So after move g6, we have bishop to f2 by Fabi, normal development. Knight to b6. You basically playing the same principles of chess. You're trying to develop your pieces. You're trying to secure the king by calcing. You're trying to have a rook connection. You're trying to bring the pieces on the most active squares. You want to control the center. So nothing is different like in normal chess, also in official random chess. So here we have c4. Here Hans goes with d6, and now g3 here by Fabi, tries, of course, to prepare maybe here knight to f3 and going maybe here kingside calcing. Knight to f6. I've highlighted this move as a sort of a theoretical novelty because I've checked out the Lichess database and no one in chess history so far played this move. In chess history, let me see what was the continuation. Bishop to d7, c5 has been played in one particular game that I see in the database, but now knight to f6 here, beautiful novelty in Fischer random chess by Hans Moke and Niemann. So we have now the move h3, which becomes now the first important moment, I would say, in the game, the first inaccuracy here by Fabi. This move h3 causes now a weak pawn on the edge of the board, which Hans uses immediately and attacks it simply, and Fabi is now forced to play the move g4. You see, Fabi played g3, h3, and now he played g4. Many pawn moves in the opening stage is, of course, not good to do. You want to develop your pieces. Look at this. Fabi has brought out only one piece into the game. Meanwhile, here, Hans Moke Niemann has already 3 pieces out. So here, I would say black is already taking over. Black has already a slightly better position because of the better simply piece development. So I'm not sure what happened here to Fabi, but he played this passive moves in the opening. Here Hans plays a beautiful kingside calcing, and if you look now, maybe here the position by Hans, he has now, I would say, even a common position of sort of a King's Indian defense, King's Indianish defense, where the bishop has sort of a fianchetto, the knight is on a natural square on f6, the bishop was on d7, queen on c8, a little bit misplaced, but it has, of course, these great attacking chances of this diagonal, and knight will eventually come into the game. The rook is here perfectly fine, and the king is secure. So I would say a beautiful, solid position that Hans Moke Niemann reached in only 6 moves. We have to mention 6 moves, and you have already, I would say, a commonish position here by black. D3, as I said, black should be slightly better here in this particular position. And now H5. And here Hans goes immediately all in. That's what I meant in the beginning. Hans is not waiting. Hans is an attractive, really ultra aggressive player. He plays now the move H5, which the engine doesn't like. The engine wants you to play calm game with c5, and then maybe after e4 to go with knight to a4, and then to maybe launch a flank attack later with the move b5. But here Hans, as I said, his style is simply different, and that's what we like about him. His games are really attractive. Now with the move h5, the game becomes already very complicated. Now Fabi doesn't react correctly. He plays g5. Here I think he should have taken, and after knight to h5, bishop to f3, and knight to f6, white would get a position where white should try to castle as fast as it can towards the queen side, and then try to maybe somehow create an attack against white's king. So going maybe into this opposite side castling game, and then to launch immediately an attack against black. Still, even in this position, black should be slightly better, but Fabi had a chance maybe to complicate things also for Hans on the king side. When here Fabi played the move g5, okay, you get an attack against the knight, but I hope you realize now the position is locked on the king side. Nothing will be opened anymore on this side of the board. Hans simply plays now beautiful bishop takes h3, rook to e1, and now here Hans steps back with the knight. The knight will eventually come to g7, and then also we have a beautiful square on f5. We have knight takes h3, bishop queen takes h3, knight to b3, and now finally this move c5 that we have discussed earlier that maybe Hans should have played in the early stage of the game. So here again, black is much better. Black has taken a pawn. Of course, white continues now the game with the bishop pair, but white didn't castle so far. Still, Fabi has issues where to go with the king. The position is not so useful for the bishop pair because the position is simply static here also on this side of the board. Maybe you can complicate things with pawn movements, but I would say always better position here for black for sure, because of the extra pawn and because of the possibility here. There is simply no possibility that white will open the position in front of black's king. So here Fabi is trying bishop to f3 with rook to h1, simply stepping back here by Hans, and now comes this idea, rook to h1, knight to a4. Good move here by Hans, the move again that we have discussed earlier with the preparation to finally launch a flank attack with the move b5, because Fabi is probably trying maybe to castle queenside here, but still this is very dangerous because of this enormous pressure already by Hans, Moke, and Niemann's minor pieces. So we have now queen to c2, and now knight to knight to c7 by Hans. He's preparing the move b5, but he doesn't have to. Actually, he can play b5 immediately. Why not? Why are waiting b5 immediately? Splits, cuts up the position here for white. White is passive, so here it was already huge opportunity for Hans. But even after knight to c7, which is an inaccuracy, still again black is much better in this particular position. Knight to a5 here again, maybe inaccuracy here the engine suggests, but I'm not sure how many of us would play this move. The engine says you should go for the sacrifice. This is now maybe your last chance to somehow complicate things on the king side. After g takes h5, d4, and similar stuff, there is this defensive resource for black. f5 taking en passant, and then rook to f6. You will get maybe your check, but black can escape here to f8, and okay. Unpleasant maybe for a little bit, but this is defendable for black. So even bishop to h5, although it is a suggested move by top engines, it's not working here for Fabi. So Fabi tried knight to a5, which gives here Hans the opportunity to hop with the knight and hoping to fix the knight around the square d4. e3, rook from f to c8, and now king to e2. Desperate moves here by Fabi because he doesn't know where to castle. This attack against the b2 pawn is already very dangerous. If you castle on this side of the board, you cannot play it because you have already played with the rook. So Very, 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 very unpleasant game now for Fabi. And here Hans plays normal b5, that move that we have discussed. As I said, now the position is so much better for black, almost without any possibilities here for white to turn around. So here c takes b5, rook to b5, the rook comes actively into the game. Fabi has to play knight to c4, knight to b6, b3, d5, we have knight takes b6, and now rook takes b6. Bishop to g3, the bishop is really locked here by its own pawns. Not a good position of the bishop pair here by Fabi. And now knight to g7, the move that we have also discussed, with the idea to hop with the knight on a beautiful square on f5. Here we have king to f1. The issue is here that you cannot actually prepare this e4 move in order maybe to prevent knight to f5. If you do that, then the knight is coming again on e6, and if you try f5, then the knight is coming on d4. So these two pawns actually cannot compete against this powerful knight that is very flexible in this position. The knight will eventually find its good square. You cannot do anything about it, so that's why Fabi stepped back, allowed here knight to f5 by Hans, Moke, and Niemann, bishop to f2, and now finally e5. And this is the move that Hans was waiting for. Now the position is really, really open with this endangered king on f1, with this passive bishop pair. Very, very messed up position for Fabi. We have queen f takes e5, bishop to e5, king, queen to d2, and now simple d4. We have e4, but this position is really now getting worse and worse for the bishop pair. The position is now really blocked in the center. The bishops don't like blocked positions, so here after move e4, okay, you have to step back. But as I said, the knight is a really flexible piece. It will simply find always in these types of positions a good square. We have now bishop to g2, rook to f8, bishop to h3, attacking the queen, and now here Hans builds this beautiful queen and bishop battle. We have rook to g1, bishop to f4, an attack against the queen. Queen drops back, and now queen to e5. Good move also here by Hans. This move is preventing any possibility for this bishop to come into the game, with the potential maybe even pawn sacrifice on e5. Here Hans created the blockade and now hopes to finally again further open the position on the f file, because we have to notice here the king is on the f file and the rook is indirectly so far targeting the king, but the position is opening up for sure. King to g2, Fabi sensed the possibilities of the f-file attack. We have knight to e6, king to hy, and king to h1, and now knight takes g5. Here Fabi is losing another pawn. The position is now really collapsing here for white. The computer evaluation, the current computer evaluation, is about +4 in black's favor. So we have bishop to f1, rook to f6, rook to b2, king to g7, tiny little improvement of the king, good move, but also with a flexible idea to shift here the rook to the h file and maybe trying to do an attack on this side of the board. We have rook to c2, and now a beautiful move here by Hans. We have h4. The issue is that you cannot take because of this h-file attack that we have said, but now even if you try to defend it, then knight to f3. This would be then the stunner. Queen to f3 takes. You have to now step back, and now rook to h2 is a beautiful checkmate. Even if you try here to cover with bishop to h3, then bishop to e3 attacks the rook, and now if wherever you step back, I don't know, it's simply a messed up game here. The position is really, really bad. The queen is hanging. As I said, nothing can be done. In the best scenario, you will lose simply the exchange, and then black is it again, completely winning game. So h4, great attacking move here by Hans. We have now rook to g4, and now bishop to e3. Good again positional idea here by Hans, because it seems to me that this bishop on f2 is holding so far the defense of white. This bishop is at least having a possibility to somehow attack the position. This bishop on f1 is simply blocked, as I said, by its own pawn structure. So going for the trades of pieces is perfectly fine. Now Fabi tries bishop takes h4, rook to h8, obviously again here by Hans. Here king to g2, and now comes a beautiful moment here of this amazing and spectacular chess game by Hans. Now we have reached the position from the thumbnail where Hans, as you can probably guessed, simply sacrificed now the rook for the exchange just in order to have this beautiful hop with the knight on f3. The knight is so powerful here. It attacks the rook. It has also some ideas here to maybe deliver a dangerous check on h2. So that's why here Fabi tried rook to h3. But even if you try, I don't know, the suggested move by for rook to h3, what should you do? As I said, nothing is working here for Fabi. You cannot really include other defenders into the game. This rook is far away from the action. This bishop, look at this, it's behind the queen and the king, and Hans had now the opportunity to immediately, I think, destroy Fabi's defense with queen to g5. Then after rook to g3, you play something like this: knight to h4, king to h2, and then bishop to f4 is winning on spot. But Hans went for another idea, which is also perfectly fine. The engine doesn't like it, but it's not a mistake or something that brings Fabi back into the game. Still, black is much better, even after move knight to g5. What should you do? Here, Fabi tries rook to g3. We have now knight to e6. Again, a beautiful move with the idea to hop with the knight on f4. Queen to g4. Now comes rook to f4. Fabi steps back. Of course, Hans continues the pressure and still prepares the move knight to f4. We have now rook to f2. Now comes this idea: rook takes f4. Here Fabi has to now give up back the exchange, but now after bishop to f4, the position is really bad. What should you do? If you try maybe queen to f3, then bishop takes g3, queen to g3 leads now into this line where again black is up the exchange. Even if you try maybe rook to f3, then rook to h2 and king to g1, queen to g5 is immediately checkmate. You can just prolong the game by covering, but still it's a checkmate. So here after bishop to f4, Fabi tried rook to h3, but now a brilliant again move, queen to g5. Again, it's working. You have to now step back. Rook takes h3, bishop takes h3, and after queen to g3, here in this particular position, Fabiano Caruana resigned. You cannot defend the bishop, that's the issue. If you defend it, then you get checkmated, and deserved win here by Hans Moke Niemann. Great game he played here with the black pieces in Fischer Random Chess. So, what should we say? Hans is on fire. Hans played really awesome chess in this event already. Hans is even, I think, one of the favorites to win the whole thing. How he's playing these positions, how he's finding attractive ideas, how he's finding ideas to complicate things, how he's getting also solid positions, especially with the black pieces in already prepared setups. Really amazing chess that he's performing here for sure. As I mentioned in the beginning, he has really deserved his spot here in this beautiful Grand Slam in Las Vegas. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting tactics we have seen for sure in this game. If you want to see some other beautiful Fischer Random games, check out my playlist. We have already covered many great games in this chess variant. Also, I've covered many great games played by top engines like Stockfish, Alpha Zero, Lila Zero, and many more. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.